Hey everybody. Oops. Don't know why Instagram's acting up here. So we're gonna try this one more time. Alrighty, there we go. Hi Instagram. Hey Facebook. My computer is currently freaking out. So if you hear a loud whirring noise, it's because it is overheating and that's what's going on. So I'm just gonna groom myself in the camera here for a moment because I've been packing all day, and so I look like I've been packing all day. And I just ran here from door openers live discussion that we had, so I'm kind of flipping from one thing to the next. Hey Anna, thanks for being here. Good evening to you as well. We just had a fantastic conversation in the door openers group, so I was very excited about that, and actually kind of sad to leave. I kind of wish I would have booked this for tomorrow night, but that's okay. We are here. I'm also excited to be here and to answer all of your guys' questions. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel Leah Gerson. I own Doorway to Self LLC, where I combine counseling techniques with psychic tools to help people understand themselves on an entirely new level, and specifically their mental health. But your mental health is you, so here we are. Hey, thanks for being here. All right, so the way that this works, if you've never been here before, is that I am here to answer any and all questions that you might have about the psychic world. Hey, Megan, thanks for being here. About the psychic world, about metaphysics in general, about mental health, about the intersection of those things. This is not a gallery reading, so if you want to book a reading with me, you're more than welcome to do that by going to my website. If you are watching live from Facebook, the link is in the description. If you're watching live from Instagram, the link is in my bio, so you can check those things out. You're also welcome to book a session with me in general as well, not just readings, but I have to say that specifically on here because people get confused sometimes and think that I'm doing readings, and that's just not what's going on. Any questions that you may have at any point in time, you're welcome to pop them in the comment box on Facebook or on Instagram. I do also accept anonymous questions beforehand, and I close the door to that an hour before we go live. So I'm going to go ahead and actually answer some of the live questions that have come, or excuse me, the anonymous questions that came in beforehand. And then as you guys have questions, I will get to them as first come, first serve. So we'll just go ahead and jump in. Lots of questions came in anonymously this month, so hopefully I'm going to get through all of them. If I don't, then I don't, and that's all right. Okay, let's see. So we have, I'm going to go with Instagram questions first that came in my inbox here. Let me just pull these up real quick, guys. Okay, cool. So we have anonymously, for tonight's Q&A, would you be able to talk a little bit about birth control as it relates to current energies? I know you mentioned this in your recent IG live. What energies are up right now is related to switching or starting or using birth control, and how might this be showing up for people? Okay, this is a really great question, really in depth. I'm going to right off the bat just state I am not a women's health expert. I am not a naturopath. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not an expert in any of these things. I'm not going to pretend to be. Please go consult your doctor, whether that's Western medicine or not. Hey, Alexandria, thanks for being here. Go consult your doctor on this for sure. But I will give you my opinion and tell you kind of energetically what's been up as well. Okay, so we're in Mars retrograde. Mars is going to be playing off of hormones in general, because it is the planet that rules vitality. And so, obviously, along with vitality, there's going to be sex drive that's paired with that. And so, when we experience Mars retrograde, a lot of the time we can experience a lot of hormonal fluctuations. And so, I mean, what I'm, as far as what's going on with the energy that would be related, that's what it would be, is that Mars retrograde energy that's happening. Also, Jupiter, which is a kind of a more masculine ruled planet, just went direct as well. So that's also going to be, that's also, and it's a planet of abundance. So that's also going to be affecting our hormone levels as well. So it's kind of like one thing went forward and one thing went back that are both related to the same thing. And so we're kind of dealing with like this two ships passing in the night type thing. Yeah, hormones are going to be out of whack, and this isn't just for women, this is for men as well, and anybody in between. This is what's going to be up, is just a lot of fluctuations in hormones. And I did speak about this on my most recent IGTV episode, so you guys can find that on Instagram at Doorway to Self, if you want to learn more about a little bit, well, a lot of it, what's up in our skies right now and what's going on, how that's affecting us on all different levels. As far as starting birth control or switching birth control or whatever it is, okay, this is a really touchy subject, because I'm torn. Personally, on a personal level, I'm torn. I say that because on the one hand, obviously you want to make sure that you're protected and you want to take any precautions that you can, to make sure that you don't get pregnant if that's not something that you're trying to do. On the other hand, hormonal birth control and even the copper IUD can really affect so much. It can throw your entire system out of whack. It can affect your digestive system. It can affect your sleep. It can affect your sex drive. It can affect your mood. It can affect your anxiety. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff. And on top of that, because for women, the womb space is such a link to intuition, it can actually also affect that as well. And so it's just, it's kind of like a, what is more important to you at this time? Being protected and having that extra measure of making sure that you don't get pregnant, or making sure that you are a clear vessel. And so it's really about, that decision. And I cannot make that decision for you. That has to come from you for you. I will say that Goddess Ceremony has a fantastic podcast episode on the effects of birth control. So if you're trying to make a more informed choice about that, I would definitely suggest going and checking that out. You can just like Google Goddess Ceremony Podcast birth control episode and it should pop up. Thanks for being here, Rainforest Faye. So good to see you. So yeah, that would be my advice on that. Check in with your body, check in with yourself, see what feels good to you. Also ask, is this, and I know that this person is in a partnership, is this something that your partner is asking you to do, or is this something that's coming from you? And also there are psychic remedies that you could use for this as well. I really feel cautious about wanting to talk too much about this, just because I don't want to get like sued or anything. Okay, so you guys, if you try to psychically keep yourself from getting pregnant, firstly, please know that that takes a ton of energy, like a ton of energy, and it also takes a lot of you have to do a lot of work on yourself to make sure that that's something that's going to stick. I mean, there are a lot of dynamics here that are in play and up in the air, so I don't want to suggest to anybody to do that or give advice to do that, but please know that it is a route that you can take if you don't want to be on birth control but you don't want to get pregnant. So yeah, that's my answer for that. I hope that that's helpful to this person. Thank you for asking it. It's a really good question. All right, I'm seeing some stuff coming in from Miss Anna over here. Let's see. I'm on episode 5 of the podcast and loving it, trying to catch up. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate that. It's wonderful. And then you ask, do you have any special crystals you like to use when calling your energy back to you? That is a fantastic question, and the answer is yes. Hey Becky, thanks for being here. The answer is yes. I really enjoy using crystals and rocks more so than crystals even, as kind of like a totem anchor point essentially, to come back to myself. I use that as a tool a lot. So there are different rocks that I've picked up at different points in my life that will anchor me back into a certain memory or energy or place or something, point in my life where it'll basically just help to bring me back to myself. So that's what I do, definitely. And working with the energies of them. So I work with the energies of the crystals or of the rocks as guides. They are spirit guides. They are co-creators with me. Hey, Kalo Cadet, thanks for being here. So that's yeah, that would be my suggestion is find a crystal or a rock that you really connect with, whether that's something that you have picked up along the way in nature, obviously ethically, or if it's something that you have been gifted or found at a store or whatever it is, but something that really you connect with and it reminds you of yourself and it reminds you of your energy, and you're able to connect into that and use it as a guide and as a totem to call yourself back to you. So I hope that's helpful to you, Anna. Morgan says your podcast is amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, for those of you guys who have not listened yet, you can find my podcast on most platforms. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and so many others. It's also available on my website, doorwaytoself.com/podcast, and you can also find it on anchor.fm/doorwaytoselfpodcast. So if you guys haven't tuned into it yet, you can. I want to take a moment, since this is being brought up twice now, to just thank all of you who have tuned in and who have been sending me messages and sending me emails with your stories that have been triggered by the podcast and all of this other stuff. It's just been so beautiful. So beautiful to read them all and connect with you guys. And I've been blown away. This podcast episode that I launched on Thursday actually already has almost the most listened to podcast episode that I've released so far, and just like tremendously so. Like it's yeah, the numbers are well over what any other podcast episode has launched at. So thank you so much to all of you who have tuned in and given me your support. And for those of you who have written reviews on iTunes, that's actually makes it really, really helpful for other people to be able to find the podcast as well. So if you love it and you want to leave a review, I would be very, very grateful to you for that as well. Hey, Jenny, thanks for being here. Okay, let's see. Anna says, I love that idea. I collect rocks as well and never thought to use them for this. Wow, how fantastic. Yes, absolutely. And also, Anna, the other thing too, I make fun of myself a lot because I say I snuggle with rocks, and I do. I actually do. I legitimately, like, Yeah, a lot of people don't understand how I sleep because my entire bed is rocks. Like it's all just, and I snuggle with them, and I know that through the night they are encoding me with their wisdom, with their messages, with whatever it is. And oftentimes before I fall asleep, I'll actually go into meditation, and I like as I'm settling into meditation, I'll actually place them all over my body. And coming out of meditation, I'll just stay that way and I'll fall asleep with them on my body. And the dreams that come from that are really wild. So that's also something you can do too, if that's something that's comfortable for you. Okay, let's see. What else? Okay, so somebody else said more about having internal and external senses outside of the five main senses. I'm trying to read more about it since tuning into my body more, I'm having a hard time understanding it. So as I did tell this person, I did do a podcast episode on this. If you guys are interested in learning about the clairs, as they're called, you can check out the Psychic Abilities 101 episode of the podcast. Again, it's the Doorway to Self podcast. You can check that out. It goes into every single one of the clairs. The clairs are the psychic abilities that you can have. They parallel all five senses and then some. So we can have clairvoyance, which is psychic sight; clairaudience, which is psychic hearing; clairgustance, psychic taste; clairessence, psychic smell; clairtangency is psychic touch. We can also have psychic feeling, which would be clairempathy, aka being an empath, or clairsentience. And we can also have psychic knowing, which is claircognizance. So if you want to know what any of those things are more in depth, you can definitely learn about that on the podcast. And I also have articles written about every single one of those things on the blog. So if you go to doorwaytoself.com/blog, you can find all of that information there to you for free, my friends, because psychic education is necessary. So yeah, that's all there. And also you'll find articles as well on what it means to be a medium or a channel, because those are psychic abilities we can have as well. So, yes, I hope that that's helpful to you, my friend. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the email questions. For those of you guys who are hopping on right now, who haven't been here the whole time, hey, Cannon, thanks for being here. For those of you who are new, if you don't know how this works, I'm here to answer any and all of your questions about metaphysics, about psychic abilities, about mental health and its relation to those things, and anything about the psychic world in general. So if you want to pop your questions in the box, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook, please feel free to do so, and I will get to your questions when I do. Other people have also put in questions anonymously beforehand as well. I closed the gates to accepting anonymous questions an hour before the live, so tonight they closed at 7:30 Eastern. And next month they will open as well. I am in the midst of moving right now, so I've not had a time to sit down and look at my calendar and see when we can do November's live, but if you want that information right away as fast as possible, you can definitely sign up for the Doorway to Self email list. You can do that by going to doorwaytoself.com, and a little box is going to pop up that shows you where to subscribe, and you'll get the information. I don't spam you. I seriously just put out like a monthly newsletter and then email you every 2 weeks when the newest podcast episode comes out, and that's it. So yeah, or when there's an event too, I'll email, but that's very rare. So yeah, check it out. Let's see. Is there a way to have connection to all the clairs? Yes, absolutely. There's no limit. There's no limit on that. Hey, Jesse, thanks for being here. Yeah, there's no limit on that. You can absolutely embody all of the clairs. That is a thing. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to go ahead and check out some of these anonymous questions that came in. Some others. I'm newly sober and I'm looking for resources for spiritual people in recovery. Do you have any? I actually do, in fact. So Wow, there are a lot. Firstly, I want to recommend breath work. Because a majority of the time breath work happens as sober events, and it's actually a way to learn how to naturally get high too. So that's a really cool thing too. Also, I just want to say to this person, congratulations. Being new in recovery is not easy at all. I'm not speaking from experience, but I'm speaking as somebody who worked pretty intensively in a recovery center. So I see you, I feel you, I know you, and yeah, it's not an easy road. And so I want to say congratulations and keep on keeping on because it's so fantastic. Yeah, somebody on Instagram is saying congratulations in the comments in big capital letters, and so yeah, definitely. The other thing I want to tell you guys about too is a friend of mine named Allison. I actually don't know her last name, which is kind of funny. I just know her by her Facebook name, Allison Louise. Just started oh my gosh, I'm actually really, really, really excited about this, you guys. Just started a conscious, sober spiritual community. And it's just south of Grand Rapids for those of you who are in the area. There's going to be an extreme focus on family. So she has a young family. It's her husband, and her, I want to say 4-year-old daughter. They're really adorable. But yeah, it's a conscious, sober, spiritual, family centered, music centered. It sounds amazing. It really sounds amazing. So if you're somebody who's looking to get more into unschooling, or things like that, and you're also sober and you're also into music, that might be a really good place for you. I want to say it's called, hold on. I'm going to find it real quick because I'm forgetting. I'm going to find it, you guys. I promise. Give me a second here because I feel like this is important. I feel like some people need to know this. What's it called? Yeah. Okay. It's called Atlantis Awakening. And yeah, so there's going to be a focus on conscious parenting, permaculture community. You can find them on Instagram at Atlantis Awakening. It just sounds really, really amazing. So, you guys can check that out too, if you are into any of those things. Hey, Jeff, thanks for being here. So yeah, I hope that's helpful to this person. Also, just energy work in general. Although the one thing that I do want to caution against that with, and this one I am speaking from experience with, is I have dealt with spiritual addiction in the past. And so we just have to be mindful of that and be careful that, we're not trying to latch on to like the highs that spirituality can bring as well. So just be mindful of that. But yeah, I think those are probably some good starting points. And I'll let you know if I can think of anything else too, for sure. Yeah, Jesse says that sounds so cool. Yeah, and I know that the community is sober focused. I don't know if it's necessarily like only people in recovery who are there. I think it's just there's a very big focus on it being a sober community in general. So if you're somebody who maybe doesn't drink or use or whatever that often or at all, then or doesn't like to keep it around the house, then that might be a really good option for you too. Um, yeah, cool. I'm not seeing any new questions live. Oh, wait, yes, I am. Okay, I wonder if that's what I'm experiencing. Thank you. I'll have to revisit that particular episode. Okay, yeah, Morgan. Yeah, I definitely would suggest that for sure. Okay. So, speaking of the podcast, the next question that came in anonymously, I listened to your ancestor podcast and loved it. I'm wondering if you have any other ideas for how can best celebrate my ancestors during this time. Um, I'll be honest, I can't remember all of the different ways that I stated on the podcast to answer your to honor your ancestors. I loved recording that episode, but it also just kind of flew through me. So I in complete honesty do not remember all of the different tips that I gave at that point. But the best thing I can suggest at this point is doing what's called a dumb supper or a silent supper. That is my absolute favorite ritual for this time of the year. Basically, you cook foods, or you order in foods or whatever that that directly honor your lineage, or in the way of either their traditional foods that your ancestors would have eaten from the lands they came from, or perhaps it is something that just your ancestors really loved, like one of their favorite foods or something like that. And you sit down, and traditionally you would cover any mirrors in your household or any reflective surfaces with a black cloth, just kind of honoring that. Basically the veil between the worlds is thin, honoring basically that you can all be in the same space and time at the same time. And also there's some superstition as well about if you don't cover the mirrors, some bad spirits can come through or whatever. But regardless, you sit down, you have your meal in complete silence, and you invite your ancestors to come join you, and you would have a separate plate of offerings. So you'd put like little bites of all of the food. Hey, Bryn, thanks for being here. You'd put little bites of all of the food on that plate as kind of like an offering for them, and you would sit with them. And it might feel really strange at first. You'd be like, okay, I'm just eating here in silence and nothing's happening. But you just have to trust that they're with you. And if they're not with you in spirit, they're with you physically, because they are your body and your body is them. So they are there regardless. They're there all the time. So yeah, that, so you sit there in silence with them, and you honor them, and you be with them, and you love them, and you thank them for allowing the universe to pave the way for them to co-create so that you could be here. And yeah, that's one of my absolute favorites. I do believe in the episode I talked about creating some sort of ancestor altar. That's definitely also something that you can do, and that I deeply suggest. You might also want to consider perhaps doing separate altars for separate parts of your lineage. So, for instance, if you have a part of your family that comes from Africa, and a part of your family that comes from Venezuela, and a part of your family that comes from England, and a part of your family that comes from Norway, you might have 4 different altars to just kind of like honor the different traditions of those families, of those lineages. You might choose to have different deities that are associated with those lineages, or if you come from a lineage that's deeply Catholic, maybe some paraphernalia from that. Maybe different pictures of people from those parts of the family, different pictures of the lands that they're from, or trinkets or whatever that they have given you and passed down to you. All those things would be good to have on altar spaces to honor your family, honor your ancestors. What else? You can sing to them. I think that that's a really beautiful offering to sing to your ancestors and just honor them in that way. Gosh, I feel like I'm blanking at this point, but yeah, just offering thanks in any way. It's a really beautiful way to honor your ancestors. Hey, Amber, thanks for being here. So yeah, I hope that that is helpful to this person, and I might have to go back and re-listen to my own podcast episode because I honestly just don't even remember all of the other ways that I suggested in that episode. But I'm pretty sure it's chock full. Also, just wear, like, if you have any items that belong to your ancestors that you can wear, and just acknowledging them. Like, I have a bracelet that belonged to my grandmother, and I never met her. She died when my dad was really young. But I have it's a watch, actually, an antique watch, and when I put that on, I know that she's with me, and I'll touch it, and I'll feel her with me, and I'll kind of thank her for being here and think of her. And my grandmother was Jewish, and so I'll oftentimes wear that watch specifically on special Jewish holidays, just to kind of acknowledge her and acknowledge my family in that way too. Oh, we've got some other suggestions coming in too. Playing music, yep. And specifically, I would say playing music that comes from those lineages as well. So, yeah, that's a good thing too. Like, for instance, if you're Irish, maybe singing some Irish shanties or something like that would be good. Cigars, alcohol, etc. Yeah, of course, like being mindful of different things too. Like, perhaps if your family members hated the smell of smoke, you probably wouldn't do cigars. If you are sober, you probably wouldn't do alcohol. Just not going to recommend that. But if if you're not sober and that's something that your family members enjoyed with some sort of alcohol, then yeah, 100%. Sometimes jewelry and clothes work too. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, really, it's all intuitive, right? It's about what feels good to you and right to you, and if you feel that you are honoring them, then you're honoring them. Let's see. I'm not seeing any new questions coming in, so I'm going to continue on with these anonymous ones. Yeah. Thanks, you guys, for hopping on so kind of last minute here. I know I normally announce these at the beginning of the month, but I did really have to be a lot more fluid this month because I literally had zero idea when I would be moving. So now I have an official date, and the next Q&A I will be streaming from my apartment in Ann Arbor, where I'm moving on Friday. So that's exciting, and I appreciate you all being here along with me for the ride. It's been a crazy one. So speaking of which, I did not do this on purpose, guys. I did not do this beautiful segue, but it is a beautiful segue. The next anonymous question that came in is, so ... you're moving ... how do I work with you? So there are a couple answers I have to that. One, if you're in Ann Arbor, you're in luck because we can work together in person from 6 feet away now. We can work in any outside area as long as the weather is good. And I have been toying around with the idea of seeing people in person from an office space that I have access to as long as we have our masks on. But I'm going to continue to sit with that and see if it feels good, especially because I know that there have been a ton of spikes in Ann Arbor, and I am still going to be in contact with my grandparents, and they're very compromised. And so I want to make sure that I'm honoring them in this too, which brings me to, if you are living in Grand Rapids and we have been working together, I probably have already talked to you about this, but if we haven't worked together in a long time and you've kind of been itching to work with me and you've been toying with the idea, and then you were like, she's moving, what? I lost my chance. You did not lose your chance. I made a deal with my grandparents that the only way I would move is if I would come back once a month to visit them and say hi and sleep over. So that's what's gonna happen. So if you guys want to work with me in the Grand Rapids area while the weather is still decent for Michigan, I'm happy to do that when I come back. I will, in fact, be coming back to grab my pet snake next week. She's not going to be moving at the same time everything else is. That just sounds like a recipe for disaster. So I'll be coming back to grab her next week. And I will be seeing people on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. So if you want a session with me while I'm in Grand Rapids, definitely shoot me an email and we can work that out. So yeah, I'm not doing a scheduling calendar this time because it's just, that's too much to deal with right now, for me. So yeah, if you want to work with me, we can do that then. Otherwise, we can set a date for the future and I'll just make that the time that I come back for, that time that month. And I'll also potentially think about looking into maybe getting an indoor space that we can work in as well through the winter. Otherwise, my friends, online is an option. Online absolutely is an option, always has been an option, always will be an option unless the internet blows up or something. But I'm happy to work with you via Zoom, via Google Hangouts, via Facebook video chat or Instagram video chat if we are following each other and able to do that. So yeah, those are all options that we can utilize. And you can find any and all of my services on doorwaytoself.com/services. Or you can just hit the offerings button on the top of the front page. So Anna says, I wish I lived in Michigan. Texas is way too far away, LOL. Yeah, aw, Anna. I would love to work with you. And like I said, online absolutely is an option. People get concerned that the integrity of the session is going to be lost through a screen, and I can tell you that it absolutely is not. When I did my first mentorship with my mentor in England, I only literally spent one weekend with them while I was over there, and that was it. The rest of the time we were working through, yes, I'm going to age myself here, but Skype. We were working through Skype. The entire rest of the time, and the psychic connection was definitely, undoubtedly still there. And perhaps even sometimes more so because you really are out of the physical, and so it forces you to kind of get into that energetic realm. And my mentorship currently with my current mentor, we work over the phone. We don't even have video, and that's an option that I'm happy to offer any of you as well. But we work via phone, and so we, the psychic stuff that happens there, I actually personally prefer that, because you're just completely taken out of the physical. It allows me to be there and really be present in that space, close my eyes, and go into, what I need to go into there. So all of those are options for you guys if you want to work with me. Moving really doesn't affect anything, other than people in Ann Arbor have more access to me now. So that's the thing. Yeah, and I'm also willing to drive further on the east side of the state as well. So if you're in Metro Detroit or whatever, or if you're in between Grand Rapids and Ann Arbor, also a thing I can do. Yeah, so just email me, let me know what your situation is, and we can work something out. Okay, cool. Hey, Sweetwit, thanks for being here. I'm not seeing any new things coming in. All right, I'm going to take a break to just remind you guys how this works. So if you're new on here, if you have any questions about metaphysics whatsoever, you can pop your questions in the comment box on Facebook or Instagram. Just let me know what you're curious about in the psychic world, in the world of mental health, in the world of energy, yada, 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 and we can go there. I'll do my best to answer it for you. Okay. Could you tell me more? This is an anonymous question that came in beforehand. Could you tell me more about Halloween and its energies? Is it an actual real thing or something? I love how that's phrased. Is it an actual real thing or something? Yeah, cool. So, let's go here. I did actually write a little bit about this in my in the October energy article. So if you haven't yet checked that out, you definitely can. dorytoself.com/blog. Every single month, I write an entire, I swear it's a freaking novel on the energies of the month, and I go really into depth into a lot of stuff. The tarot of the month, the numerology of the month, the astrology of the month, the general energy, portal days, new moons, full moons, yada, 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 yada. So you guys can check that out. But I did actually write about Halloween in this latest article, and I'll just kind of touch on this shortly. Yes, the energies are very real. They are expounded upon by the general public, who then also feeds the energy. So we have that extra beautiful, like, it's just this vortex of awesome that happens. Halloween is actually the point in the year that falls directly smack dab in the middle between, if you're in the northern hemisphere, the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's going to be between the vernal equinox and the summer solstice. But yeah, so it is indeed a real thing. It's actually a date that's been revered for thousands and thousands of years in several different cultures all around the world, because it is this point of true in between. We are truly in between one season and the next. We are truly in this in between where the earth is giving way to death, where the earth is giving way to the ability to let go, the ability to kill off, and then the ability to rebirth through that. So yeah, it's a real thing, you guys. Many of you have been messaging me saying that you've been seeing things lately. So hello to that clairvoyance, to those of you who have been experiencing that. Yeah, things are going to be a lot more accessible psychically to us at this point of the year. Yeah, just in general, because it's what we call the thin veil, right? The veil between worlds, the space between the physical and the non-physical has suddenly become a lot thinner, and therefore the psychic world a lot more accessible, a lot more tangible. And so you're likely seeing things kind of flying into the physical that otherwise you wouldn't be accessing. So, yeah, that's what I have to say about that, I think. Jesse says, you've mentioned you're into witchy practices. If you can only pick one, what is your favorite witchy practice ever? And since it's the season of the witch, I love this question. So I do want to just throw a disclaimer out there right now and just say that this is not something that I embark upon in the context of Doorway to Self unless the client is specifically asking that I do it. So this is a really good example of that, right? Somebody is specifically asking that I venture more witchy, so I'm going to answer this question. But if you are somebody that witchcraft makes you incredibly uncomfortable, or you are a religious person who doesn't believe in witchcraft, or whatever it is, maybe the energy just doesn't resonate with you, we won't go there at all. I will not bring it into the room unless you bring it into the room. So I just wanted to state that point blank. Favorite witchy practice ever. I just heard someone say that one right there. Very good, guys. Very good. Okay. Oh gosh, there are so many. This time of the year, I really enjoy making, and I actually haven't done this in a couple of years. I really enjoy making a simmering potpourri that's I very specifically pick the herbs and spices out, and actually this answers the ancestor question as well, because this is a way that I honor my ancestors as well, and myself as my ancestor, because I started doing this practice when I was like 16. And I've done it almost every year since then. And so a lot of it, like the smell will just kind of bring me back to like my boarding school dorm room and just like, whatever. But, yeah, so I will hand pick. A lot of the spices will be exactly the same every single time I make it, and each one I will kind of dedicate a different property or idea to. So I'll spell the herbs, I'll spell the spices, and then I'm very intentional about dropping them into the water and the whole process that goes along with that. And I'll stand over the stove then, and I'll sing. I'll sing to the simmering potpourri and sing to the water. And then just as it simmers and the spices start to smell everything up, and it's beautiful. And I will actually, on the full moon, which of course this year falls on All Hallows. Shoot, I really might have to do this year. Um, on the night of the full moon for October, I will actually go out and offer the potpourri to the ground, to the earth, to the ancestors, to all of the elements, to the gods and goddesses. Of course, that's not necessarily witchy. That's more pagan than witchy, but I just outed myself as a pagan. All right, here we go. Hi, everybody. What's up? Many of you knew this about me already anyways, but again, I just kind of like to keep it separate from my business because Doorway to Self is not a religious practice at all. So again, just stating that, but yeah, so I give that as my offering, and usually I'll sing and I'll dance and I'll moon gaze and I'll do a little bit of lunarmancy, which is looking at the moon and basically making your eyes go soft and allowing information from the moon to come in psychically. Yeah, so that's probably my favorite witchy practice for specifically for this time of the year. It's a good question. Thanks for that, Jesse. That was fun to answer. Wow. All right. That's that concludes all of the anonymous questions that have come in. Um, So if you guys have any other questions that you want to pop into the comment box on Facebook or Instagram, anything that you're curious about. Oh, yep, something's coming in. Ashley says, ooh, lunarmancy. Yes. Rainforest Face says, are there specific signs that our bodies give when being affected by energy that isn't ours? Absolutely. This is such a great question. I love this. Thank you for asking it. Oh yeah. So this is going to be very specific to you. It's going to differ. It's going to differ for everybody. So my biggest piece of advice for this is to really do some research on yourself. But if you are feeling out of whack in any way, shape, or form, definitely tune into that and ask if it's coming from somebody else or something else. I had a really great example. Somebody in the door openers yesterday posted about her mom was experiencing, or her mom was watching the news and listening to the news a lot, and then all of a sudden had a headache. And so she was like, do you think this is from watching the news too much or something? And her mom was basically like, oh my gosh, yeah, wow, maybe that's exactly it. And as soon as she took herself away from the news, the headache started to dwindle. So just noticing, where your body feels off. And if you feel into that part of your body and into that abnormality, you can actually ask that body part. You can ask, so for instance, if she had tuned into her headache and she had said, what is this from? Is this from somebody else? Is this from something else? Then her head likely would have been able to give her some sort of answer intuitively. You can also specifically ask the question, is this mine? Is this my energy that's affecting this? And you'll know. You will get a knowing. You will get an answer from your body, from your intuition, or if you're claircognizant, you'll get that immediate gut hunch of yes or no. You can muscle test for it too if you're not familiar with muscle testing. Basically, Uh, the easiest way I like to kind of demonstrate that for beginners is to use yourself as a human pendulum. So basically, what you'll do is stand tall, stand straight, and you can put your hands on your heart. If you're a woman, your womb. If you, or you can put it on your solar plexus, or you can put one on each place. And then you would basically, at that point, ask a yes or no question. And if you fall forward, the answer is yes. And if you fall backward, the answer is no. So, um, yeah, so that's also a good way to do that as well. Um, Obviously, to do this, you're going to have to know more fluidly what your energy feels like. Hey, owning my vibe, thanks for being here. So if you don't know what your personal energy feels like just yet, you might want to do some work centered around that to really get in tune with yourself and get in touch with yourself and see what you feel like and what your essence is. If that's something that you need help with, I'm around and I'm very happy to work with you on that. And that's going to make it easier as well for you to know yourself, literally. It's going to make it easier for you to know yourself if you know yourself, right? So and that in turn is also going to make it easier for you to know other people's energy. So you might even get to a point where perhaps you'll be able to say, ooh, my shoulder hurts. Oh, it hurts because it feels like Karen. And you're like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, it feels like Karen. That's not me. And then you can send Karen's energy away. Don't know who Karen is, don't know why they're affecting you, but someone named Karen is in your life, Rainforest Fae, and they are, woo, yeah, all right, hit the nail on the head with that one. You might want to have some conversation with Karen, and set some boundaries with this human. Um, Sorry you're dealing with that. It sounds like a really ridiculous situation. Yeah, sorry about that. Do do do. Yeah, good question. Thanks for that. Hope that was helpful. Um, all right, cool. Well, we're about 10 minutes out, you guys. So if you have any other questions, you're welcome to pop them in the comment box on Facebook or Instagram. Rainforest Face says, this is great. Thank you. You're so welcome. I know you just needed that affirmation. And I don't normally do readings on here during this event, but, that it came in, so I wasn't going to keep it from you. Hey, Angie, thanks for being here. Yeah, so if any of you guys have any other questions, we've got about 10 minutes left. You're welcome to pop them in the comment box. In the meantime, I'm going to just talk a little bit about some other ways that we can be in contact together. So I already mentioned the podcast. You can listen to that on several different platforms. Like I said, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Anchor, anchor.fm/Doorway to Self podcast, or you can also find it on my website, doorwaytoself.com/podcast. You can also find me on Facebook, Doorway to Self, and on Instagram at Doorway to Self, or you can also follow my personal journey at rachel.leah.gerson. That's RACHEL.LEAH.GERSON, like person with a G. So those are all ways that we can keep in contact, and also this video will be uploaded to YouTube. I'm not sure that it'll happen right away because, again, I'm moving. So that's a process I'm going through currently. But eventually the replay from this will go up on YouTube and you guys will be able to access it with timestamps and all that good stuff. So those are all things. If you enjoy the energy of this and you are looking for an expert in this area to work with, whether that is to further yourself and your abilities as a practitioner or to further yourself as a human being in general, maybe get some help with some misalignments in your life currently, if you're having mental health struggles, or just struggles in general, I'm here. I'm here to work with you. And I'll be taking clients on again in the beginning of November. So unless you're in Grand Rapids, if you're in Grand Rapids, I can see you next week, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday while I'm in town. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, you're more than welcome to book a session with me. You can do that through doorwaytoself.com/services, or if you go to doorwaytoself.com and click on offerings, you will find a ton. I've been getting feedback from people that they've been a little bit overwhelmed by how many things I offer. And I really tried hard to keep my offerings as concise as possible. But really, there's just no way to put into words what it is that I do and try to keep it concise. So, my best advice, if you go to the website and you're feeling overwhelmed, two things. One, feel into it. So you can go and check out the different offerings, and see what feels best to you, and go ahead and click on that, um, and just go with it. Two, you're more than welcome to email me and ask if you need more information about any certain service or thing, and I'll get back to you on that. The other thing is too, the Door Openers group is accepting humans. Um, and I actually very recently made the decision, because we're now in month 6 of women and non-binary folk only. No men have joined the group. No men have attempted to join the group. And I'm like, what's going on here? Please guide me with this. And I think it's just come to a point where this space is very, very clearly for women identifying people and non-binary people. So if you have been staying away from joining the group because you were afraid that men would be there, know that that is no longer going to be a thing. And so, oh yeah, I'm seeing hearts on this. So women and women identifying people and non-binary folk, you are more than welcome to submit an application, doorwaytoself.com slash door openers, I think. I can't remember if that's a link anymore, but you can definitely go to the offerings tab, and it would be in the group offerings section. So you can find that. The other thing is, hey Jenny, thanks for being here. The other thing is too, because of that, and because I'm so passionate about working with men, and because I'm so passionate about the fact that there are not many spiritual places for men to come to and really explore their divine masculinity, and explore themselves as spiritual fluid beings, I am going to be opening a space that is specifically for men identifying people, and non-binary folks. So if you fall into the non-binary category, you're welcome to choose Door Openers, or this new group that will be opening. I'm thinking probably the end of November is really where I'm kind of setting my sights towards, but it might even be before that. We shall see. But I did just want to make that announcement, because as these things happen, I knew like a man was sure to apply to the Door Openers, and then I would have to be like, actually, we're not accepting you in this space anymore. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'm really stoked about this new space that I'm going to be opening up, and I'm really, really excited about it. So if that's something you're interested in, and you are a male identifier, or non-binary person who's more interested in the men's group than the women's, definitely send me an email. Let me know that you're interested, and you will be the first person to know about it. So that's going to be a thing. All right, I'm seeing one last question coming in here. Listened from Jenny. Listened to your podcast on clairs and was excited to know cigarette smoke smell is a spirit, but it scared me, so I told it to go away. How do I know if it's a good or bad spirit? That's a really great question. It's a great question, Jenny. Thanks for asking that. And thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So again, listen to your gut, and you're going to need to know your energy. And this is something that I blanket advise for literally anybody. If you are going to be doing this work, if you are going to be tuning into your psychic self, your psychic senses, you have to know your energy. Otherwise, you won't know what other energies you're working with, and you won't be able to use your discernment in a way that is discerning. You won't be able to actually figure out what your actual gut is telling you, because you won't know if it's your gut telling you or not. So do the work, get to know yourself, know your energy. Again, if you don't know your energy and you feel like you need help with that, I'm around. And once you get that kind of sorted out, at least slightly sorted out, enough to the point where you would be able to start tapping into your discernment abilities through your intuition, then you will be able to ask yourself, and you will be able to know in your body. The other thing is, your body does know, and you do have the capability of tuning into your body. So what you can do is something like going into your gut, or going into your heart space, or going into your body in general as an entity, and asking it and saying, okay, is this in my best interest to work with the spirit? Or you can even ask who the spirit is. A lot of the time too, when cigarette smoke is a smell, what I've come to find, and this is not a blanket statement, but a lot of the time, a majority of the time that somebody has clairsentience, smells cigarettes, it's usually somebody that they're related to. So it's usually an ancestor who's around. That's just what I've found overall. But that might not be the case for you. So please don't take that statement at point blank. But anyways, I really hope that helps you, Jenny. Ashley says, I gotta sort that out more. Yeah, it's a real thing, you guys. It took me literal years to get to a point where I was like, oh, this is who I am, this is what I feel like. So there's no shame. Like, it's not something that overnight you might, and it might be, you might be somebody who overnight you do the work and you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, I'm myself and this is how I feel. But it also might be something that takes you years, and if it does, that's okay. Jenny says, first thought was that it was my mom that helped. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. And and I love that you said too, first thought. A lot of the time too, in the psychic world, it's a lot more plain and simple than we make it. And so the first thing you think is usually what it is. So I don't know if that's helpful to you too, but it might be. So good question. Thank you for that. All right, my beloveds. Well, I think that concludes our October Psychic Q&A. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate your presence as always. I appreciate your support. I told you all the ways that you can find me and work with me, and find all of the cool free psychic education goodies that I put out into the world. So be sure to check that stuff out if it resonates with you. And I love you guys. And I hope you are well and that you take care. And I will see you from Ann Arbor. Aw, thanks, Anna. You're pretty fantastic yourself. Thank you for being here. All right. Love you guys. Mwah.